Shut up, Smarks. Ring Ross Redux. No, I won't tap out. I won't tap out. All of you butthurt suck. Just stop watching Raw. Stop watching Raw. Now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. This past Sunday was Clash of Champions from the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts on the WWE Network. The pay-per-review, as I call it. It wasn't a great show. It was a good show. It wasn't fantastic or anything. Nothing really to write home about, as you would say. But you know, it was worth seeing, I think. So, in the kickoff, we saw Mojo Rawley defeating Zack Ryder. In the end, Rawley executed a running forearm smash on Ryder, who was cornered for the victory. So, I believe that's how I predicted it. Not that specific ending, but, you know, I did predict Mojo Rawley was going to win. Because Zack Ryder is paid to lie down and count the lights, as some might say. So, nothing disappointing about it. I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't really paying that close attention to the show, because it was, first off, for whatever, it happens every now and then, I just got a bad download, because it got pixely and then it would clear up, and got pixely and would clear up, and it got pixely and would clear up. I had the WWE Network a couple of years ago, but I couldn't justify paying for it, because, well, I had to lie about where I live, because it's not legally, the full version's not legally available in Canada. People seem more than happy to pay for it. They seem to be more than happy to pay their $9.99 US for the full version, but they need to have their computer tell the internet that they're actually in the US somewhere. So I was doing that for a while, but the thing is, I was only watching NXT and the pay-per-views on the network. There was the whole archive that I just wasn't watching. There was stuff before and after Raw that I just wasn't watching, because I wasn't watching Raw or SmackDown live, so I just wasn't watching it. So, not really any reason, I guess, to it. I literally just wasn't watching. I just wasn't taking full advantage of the network. So, if I'm going to only watch NXT and the pay-per-views, it's just as well for me to just download those things and watch them that way. So, download them and watch them for free. So, I mean, it didn't seem to make any sense for me to pay to watch something that I was going to watch by myself anyway. It seems, I mean, that's the worst thing for me. Remembering when wrestling fans used to be super sociable. Not super sociable, but, you know, sociable. Not super sociable, of course, but, so, I mean, it's just, we're gone down a bit of a rabbit hole, I think, when it comes to being wrestling fans and how we watch wrestling. It used to be we'd all get together for a bunch. Myself and some friends from local wrestling used to go to one of the local bars that would show wrestling. And one of the bars in particular had like a big old leather couch. If you showed up early enough, you could sit on that couch and have your friends there and, you know, be real comfortable. But, you know, and about 5 or 6 years ago, I think they stopped showing pay-per-views at bars. I found this bar downtown that was still showing pay-per-views. And so I was telling people on Ring Rust that this bar was showing pay-per-views, and the owner of the bar caught wind of it and said, give that man a free beer, and, you know, if you want to come down and host some sort of pre-show or something. And so I used to bring my old VHS tapes down there, and DVDs when I was collecting DVDs. When I started collecting, I should say, DVDs. And the thing is, I'd show up in plenty of time to put on a pay-per-view. Like, I'd bring down Survivor Series 1990, you know, or SummerSlam 1992 or whatever, and I show up 3.5 hours early, and the guy was still setting up, and was like, can you set up the VCR so I can start playing? It's like, oh, get to that in a minute. So 2 hours before the pay-per-view starts, he has the VCR set up for a 3-hour tape. So I don't think he went to MUN, because you need to be good at math in order to go to MUN. So, anyway. The Club Kayfabe creative community, bringing together creative people from all walks of life and giving them a platform to show off their talents. Podcasters, artists, cosplayers, authors. Check out all the information about the Club Kayfabe creative community at ckcconline.com. Now back to WWE Clash of Champions. The actual pay-per-view opened with Baron Corbin defending the United States Championship in a triple threat match against Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. As Corbin executed the End of Days on Roode, Ziggler simultaneously performed a zigzag on Corbin to win his second United States Championship. And those, of course, who were watching SmackDown this week know that he just up and relinquished his title. The suggestion seems to be that he's considering retirement. So, or at least retirement from WWE, not retirement from wrestling necessarily, but from WWE at least. But we'll see how that plays out.
Hey, this is Chris Jericho of Fozzy in the Seabeast of Canada, and you're listening to 93.5 right here.
This is Fanboy Mark Jabroni. You are listening to Ring Rust, now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. Next up, for WWE Clash of Champions, the Usos defended the SmackDown Tag Team Championship against Big E Langston and Kofi Kingston. So that would be Booty Rudy of the Rudy Tooty Booty from the New Day. Rusev and Aiden English, which I called, what did I call him? Let me see, the four-way tag. I called them Happy Rusev Day. Okay, Rusev and Aiden English, just Happy Rusev Day. And then Running Scared, American Omega, whatever you want to call them, Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable, in a fatal four-way tag team match. Unlike traditional tag team fatal four-way matches, one member from each team remained in the ring throughout the match. Interesting variation they had there. The match ended with Jimmy performed 2 super kicks on Gable, and Jay performed a Samoan splash on Chad to retain the title. So I did predict that the Running Scared would come away with the title. Or at least win the match, not necessarily win the title, but at least win the match. So I didn't predict that one right. I predicted Baron Corbin would defend his title. So ironically enough, it's the opposite of, I should have reversed how I predicted those two matches. I should have predicted that, in order to be right for both matches, I should have predicted that Baron Corbin was going to lose his title. Who would win it would really have been up in the air. And I should have predicted that the Usos were defending. But, oh well. I'm not really bothered by it. It's just, I don't really get, upset or anything from not predicting things correctly. I do it for fun. I do it for making up the tag team names and enjoy watching the show, generally speaking. And you're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. And also, while you're over at the CHMR's Ring Rust Facebook page, consider donating to my Patreon page, which is linked right there in the pinned post, patreon.com/MarkJabroni. I'm not asking for a lot, like $5 or $10 here and there, just to, essentially, like it says on the Patreon, to buy me lunch is basically what you're doing, and in return, you can contribute ideas for either of my shows, either Ring Rust or one of my other 2 shows, and it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. So if you want to contribute to a show, and one of the options is to actually record a segment. There are restrictions, of course, but like you can't curse, and whatever song you want to play, if you want to play a song, can't be top 40. So there are some restrictions, but we can all work within it. So back to WWE Clash Champions on the WWE Network. The next match saw Charlotte Flair defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against Natalya in a lumberjack match with the Riot Squad of Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan, Naomi, Carmella, Tamina, and Lana serving as the lumberjacks, or lumberjills if you prefer. After Charlotte performed a moonsault to the outside, taking out the lumberjacks, Carmella attempted to cash in her Money in the Bank briefcase, but Riott stopped her, and the lumberjacks brawled to the back. As Natalya attempted the sharpshooter, Flair countered into the figure 8 leg lock and forced Natalya to submit. Thus, Flair retained the title. After the match, An upset knucklehead said she was turning her back on everyone and just sort of stormed off and just went, TJ, no one cares about me. What was that, Natty? Shut up. Anyway, where's my cat? So, I did predict it that way, didn't I? Yes. Charlotte Flair retaining her title.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho. Look out! Oh my God, Rudolph, what have you done?
Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
Merry Christmas from all of us here at CHMR.
Ha ha ha! Cookies on dowels.
It says right here, diagnosis, fractured ass. That's it. The healing rays of the sun in his head.
You're listening to wrestling superstar, the XXX Sex Express Sex Yeti, and you're listening to Ring Rust, the one and only wrestling talk radio show.
Now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. So next up for WWE Clash of Champions on the WWE Network, the Bludgeon Brothers, Harper and Rowan, faced Breezango, Fandango and Tyler Breeze. Harper and Rowan performed a double crucifix powerbomb on Fandango, with Rowan pinning him for the win. Afterwards, they cut a promo saying that it was the end of the beginning and the beginning of the end. That sounds familiar. Where did I hear that before? Oh, right. WCW Slam Jam. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV.
Christmas is a time of giving, but make the mistake of giving a pet as a Christmas present, and a season of caring can turn into a lesson in cruelty. Books, clothes, and toys can be returned, but a pet is for life. The holidays are a bad time to introduce an animal into your home, so this Christmas, take a tip from us, and remember, pets are not gifts. A reminder from your friends at 93.5 CHMR FM. Bringing a taste of a Newfoundland Christmas to the world via the internet at www.chmr.ca. You're tuned to Mun Radio, your only Christmas alternative. At Christmas, people love to get together with friends and family to enjoy some holiday cheer. But please remember, if you drink, do so responsibly. Call a cab, ride the bus, or use a designated driver, but never drink and drive. Don't let tragedy mar your holiday. Don't drink and drive, don't drink and drive. Enjoy yourself this Christmas, but remember, don't drink and drive. This safety reminder from your friends at 93.5 CHMR FM.
This is 93.5 CHMR FM.
It's that time of year again. Time to get in your votes for the Ring Rust year-end Top 50 Countdown, where I run down my favorite and your favorite wrestling-related songs and wrestling-infant themes from 50 all the way to number 1. Just like CHMR's Ring Rust on Facebook, and post your vote in the appropriate thread. Check it out on the last Friday of this year and the first Friday of next year. Fact. Randy Savage can copy and paste on a typewriter. and the Macho Man once broke one of those Nokia phones. You know the one I'm talking about. Like me on Facebook, tinyurl.com/ringrust. Follow me on Twitter @MarkJabroni, and subscribe to Jabronology TV, youtube.com/fanboymarkjabroni. So, next up for WWE Clash of Champions on the WWE Network, in the penultimate match, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, as I like to call the un-Canadians, because they aren't acting polite, so they're acting un-Canadian. Radio Shrug. Defended their jobs against Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura, a team that I called Mushki, or Mumski, probably. It's a Japanese snake. Japanese, Shinsuke Nakamura, snake, Randy Orton. Connection. With Commissioner Shane McMahon and General Manager Daniel Bryan as special guest referees. Throughout the match, there was confusion between Shane and Bryan as to who should call the pinfalls until they came to an agreement, each claiming halves of the ring. Outside the ring, Owens performed a frog splash on Nakamura through an announce table. In the climax, Zayn pinned Orton with a roll-up, and Shane intentionally stopped the count at 2. Bryan and Shane then argued, during which Daniel shoved McMahon. Randy attempted an RKO on Sami, who avoided it, and then pinned Orton with a roll-up. Bryan made a fast count to give Owens and Zayn the win, thus keeping their jobs. And on SmackDown, seemed he had a bit of an ulterior motive when endeavoring to explain himself. Not that he really did much of a job explaining it, but, you know, he basically warned Shane McMahon to watch his P's and Q's, and Shane McMahon said, okay, well, you watch your P's and Q's. And they said, okay, all right then, all right. And they basically just left the playground. Agreeing to disagree, I guess, not to beat each other up. Or something, I don't know. You know, seems, with that interview that Bryan had with Rosenberg a little while ago, talking about whether or not he's been cleared to wrestle in WWE, it's like he's just sort of lashing out and maybe just, you know, building a little bit of his self-esteem. You were listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV.
Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas! You're listening to 93.5 CHMR. Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas! Woohoo! Hey, get, go up! No! Uh-oh, moving!
Ew, slimy. Ow, pointy! Marge, it takes 2 to lie. 1 to lie and 1 to listen.
What does that mean? So, ending things off for WWE Clash of Champions on the WWE Network. AJ Styles defended the WWE Championship against Jinder Mahal in the main event. The Phenomenal One performed a springboard 450 splash on the modern-day Maharaja, only for the Singh brothers to pull Mahal from the ring. Styles performed a phenomenal forearm on Sunil of the Singh brothers, who was outside the ring, and a Styles clash on Samir on the floor. As AJ attempted another springboard, Jinder avoided and performed a Kalas on Styles for a near fall. In the end, the champion forced the Mahal to submit to a calf crusher to retain his title. So how did I predict? I'm pretty sure, yes, I predicted that properly. So that's it for the pay-per-view. So I predicted 4 correctly and 3 incorrectly. So a little bit better than half. I'm moderately happy with the results there, I think, of it. So not going to complain, certainly. You are listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. Now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. And now it's time for this week's three-way dance-off.
Welcome to tonight's main event!
And we have a capacity crowd on hand for this battle of the millennium.
So in case you were unaware from the main event of Raw this past week, a little bit of a special announcement happened. So let's just read this article from ESPN just to get you in the right frame of mind for it. On January 24th, 1988, the first ever Royal Rumble event aired on the USA Network and blazed the path of three decades of memorable moments in the WWE. The 20-man over-the-top Battle Royal, which eventually evolved into 30 and 40-man matches, became the most iconic match created under the WWE umbrella. 30 years later, on January 28th, 2018, the women of the WWE will get their own opportunity to make another major leap forward in their evolution with the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. I think it's long overdue. There's been an incredible movement that's been happening in our business that started nearly 3 years ago, Stephanie McMahon, Chief Brand Officer of WWE, told ESPN.com on Monday. So, rather than go all on about that great news, I'm just going to dedicate this week's three-way dance-off to three ladies I wouldn't mind seeing making an appearance. Not currently on the roster, but two of them have something to plug. And one of them I kind of wouldn't mind seeing wrestle in a WWE ring again, after seeing her in the Mae Young Classic. You're listening to Ring Rust REDUX on Jabronology TV. Now, part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. Should I bother finishing that article? Now you can go over to the CHMR's Ring Rust Facebook page, click on it like if you haven't already, and scroll on down to that Royal Rumble article for the women's wrestlers. So let's dip into another bit of news. Alexa Bliss hit a milestone and broke a WWE record on December 20th. She's now held the WWE Raw Women's Championship for the longest of all time, as her current run hit 114 days on that day. With that number, she surpassed Charlotte Flair's title reign of 113 days. Charlotte and Bliss are also the only two women to have held the Raw and SmackDown Live Women's Championships to date. Alexa accomplished it first, followed by Flair. Bliss's first Raw title reign was 112 days. So, call her spiteful or call her blissful, she's all about the bling. She's getting that bling. She's getting the bling bling. She's getting the mad cash and the... Where am I going with this? She's making money. She's like hand over fist. Speaking of which, whatever happened to those skeleton gloves she had? Skeleton finger gloves. Missed those. Now she just wears those like workout gloves with painted on bones, and it's not nearly as impactful. But oh well. Like me on Facebook, tinyurl.com/ringrust. Follow me on Twitter @MarkJabroni. And subscribe to Jabronology TV, youtube.com/fanboymarkjabroni. Now part of Club Kayfabe creative community. We'll follow this story under horizontal suplex. Is it that obvious? Paige continues to be attacked by low-life cybercriminals. The former holder of the WWE Divas and NXT Women's Championships has had several personal videos and photographs of herself performing sexual acts with current and former co-workers Xavier Woods and Brad Maddox leak out onto the internet for all to see. It doesn't stop there, however, as it appears the leaks will continue on for the foreseeable future. The website that leaked out the video said, rumor has it that when all's said and done, Paige will have 40 full-length sex tapes leaked. That'll span hours upon hours and cover all the most depraved sexual activities known to man. Unquote. Now, while you're imagining that, I need to see both hands on the tabletop. Gents, you two ladies, I know. I hear you. Don't want to get smashed in the face. That's it for another show, kiddies. Check me out on Facebook, where you can keep track of all the news that's right on the mark, from around ringside to the latest concerts. See you at the shows. Later days.
This is 93.5 CHMR FM.